I thought I was just packing a suitcase for my boyfriend's business trip until his ex showed up at my door with a photo of me, sleeping taken from inside my apartment, and a box full of chilling secrets he kept hidden. I was sweating through my sheets, shaking from fever, and still somehow printing out flight confirmations for a man who couldn't even be bothered to ask if I was okay. My name's Madeline. I'm 28, live in a small apartment with a leaky kitchen faucet and a rescue dog named Fig. I work from home as a freelance book editor, which sounds cozy until you realize it mostly means chasing down invoices and editing romance novels while your ceiling fan rattles like it's about to explode. I'd been dating Travis for a little over a year and a half. He's 32, works in media consulting, and has this irritatingly confident way of talking like he's always mid-TED Talk. People love him, or they used to. I did. To be fair, the signs didn't start off dramatic, just little things. He used to FaceTime me every night when he traveled. Then it became every other night. Then just texts. He changed his phone lock screen from a selfie of us eating ice cream to a quote from Steve Jobs. That alone should have been a red flag. Then last week, I got sick. Not like cute stay in bed with soup sick. I mean full body ache, can't move, hallucinating from fever sick. I hadn't eaten in 2 days. My skin felt like it was on fire. I was curled up on the couch with my dog and a bowl of melting ice cubes when Travis texted me. "Hey babe, can you print my boarding pass and pack my blue carry-on? I can't find it. Gotta leave by 7 a.m. I stared at the message for a full minute, thinking surely he must be joking, but he wasn't. I told him I was really sick, expecting at least some sympathy. Instead, he replied, "Oh no, that sucks. Can you still help though? I'm swamped." So I got up. I don't know why. Maybe because I wanted to prove I was still the supportive one. Maybe because I thought if I did this, he'd see me, appreciate me. I packed his bag while wearing 2 sweatshirts and still shivering. He was on the phone, pacing around my living room, laughing about some pitch meeting while I folded his stupid socks and triple-checked that his razor was in the front pouch like he liked. When I asked if he needed his backup phone charger, he just waved me off. "They've got stuff at the hotel." I asked where exactly the conference was this time. He paused. "Downtown," he said. That was weird. I thought you said Chicago. "Yeah, I meant downtown Chicago." Then he smiled like I was the one being weird. He kissed me on the forehead as he left and said, "Try to get some rest, okay?" I wanted to scream. Instead, I just sat on the floor after the door closed and cried until my chest hurt. For the next 2 days, he barely texted. Just the usual. Busy day. Long meetings. Gonna crash early. Meanwhile, I was living on saltine crackers and Gatorade. My mom offered to come down. I said no. I didn't want to admit how alone I felt. Then, on the 3rd night, I couldn't sleep. Fever was down, but my brain was buzzing. I was scrolling through Netflix on the TV and noticed someone had started a movie I didn't watch. On my profile. Confused, I checked my Netflix account settings. Last active device. Samsung TV. Apartment 46A, 3.2 miles away. That wasn't my place. That wasn't even my neighborhood. Travis always logged in on my Netflix when he traveled. He said it was easier than remembering his password. And that's when it hit me. I grabbed my old iPad, the one I gave him months ago, and forgot to unlink. I opened the Find My app. My heart was pounding. The iPad location lit up instantly. It wasn't in Chicago. It wasn't even downtown. It was at a luxury Airbnb 5 minutes from my apartment. And the last registered activity? A screenshot of a boarding pass, saved at 2 a.m., from someone named Zara. I stared at the screen for so long, the iPad went dark. Then I turned it back on. Just to make sure. Just to see if I'd made some stupid mistake, like maybe Find My was glitching, or it was still linked to an old device. But no. It was him. It had to be. He never bothered to wipe the iPad. The dot pulsed on the screen, still at the same Airbnb. I zoomed in. Street view, bright white building, big balcony. Just 5 minutes from my place. He wasn't in Chicago. He wasn't in any conference. He was here. I don't remember getting off the couch. I just remember putting on a hoodie over my pajama shirt, jamming my phone in my pocket, and walking. Half in fever, half in rage. I didn't even know what I was planning to do when I got there. Scream? Cry? Throw his suitcase over the balcony? I never made it. I stopped at the end of the block. The Airbnb had glass walls facing the street. I didn't need to knock. I didn't need to guess. Because he was right there, sitting on the couch, laughing at something on a giant TV. Next to him, curled up under his arm, was a girl with long dark hair in an oversized shirt. His shirt, the green one I'd gotten him for his birthday. They were eating takeout and sharing a blanket. Like they'd been doing this for weeks. I didn't recognize her face, but her name was still on the iPad. Zara. I stood frozen for what felt like hours. Then I turned around and walked home. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just opened the fridge, poured a glass of orange juice, and sat down on the floor while my dog stared at me like he didn't know what to do either. The next morning, I woke up with a burning throat and 3 texts from Travis. Morning, babe. Meeting got moved. Might stay an extra day. You good? I almost laughed. My voice was gone, my head was pounding, and somehow he thought he could still pretend. I didn't reply. Not then. Instead, I opened Instagram. Not to post, just to scroll. But of course, the algorithm knew. The top story was from a girl I vaguely knew from college, tagged at The Loft Lounge, a rooftop bar less than a mile away. I clicked, and there he was. Travis. Laughing, shirt half unbuttoned, drink in hand, standing right next to Zara, her arm around his waist, his lips on her forehead. They looked like a couple. No hesitation, no hiding. I took a screenshot, then another, then one more when I saw him playing darts with another guy, still wearing that birthday shirt like it meant nothing. I sent him the pictures with one sentence. Hope the conference is going well. He didn't reply for 2 hours. When he finally called, I let it ring out. Then he texted, "You're being dramatic." That was it, not even a lie. Just dismissal, I snapped. I called him. He answered on the second ring, like nothing was wrong. His voice was slurred. "Hey you, was just thinking about you." "Are you serious?" I said. "Do you think I'm blind?" He sighed. "Look, don't make this a big thing. You lied to me, you cheated, while I was sick and packing your damn suitcase." He laughed, actually laughed. "Madeline, come on, you were always the responsible one. Comfort zone, Zara's fun, but you're safe, reliable. That's what I liked about you." "Liked?" I asked. "I mean," he paused. "Look, some people are for stability, some are for escape. I just needed both. That's not a crime." My mouth went dry. "You're disgusting," I said. He chuckled. "You always took things so personally. This isn't about you, it's just what I needed." And then he hung up. I sat there, shaking. I didn't even feel real. I wasn't just heartbroken, I was humiliated. He used me like a service, pack his things, edit his life, and sit still while he wandered off. My dog crawled into my lap and stayed there. I was still processing when my doorbell rang. I opened it without thinking. There, standing awkwardly with a brown paper bag, was Zara. "Hey," she said, eyes wide. "I think we need to talk." I didn't say anything. I just stared at her. Zara stood there like she wasn't sure if I was going to slam the door or punch her in the face. She clutched the paper bag to her chest like a shield. I opened my mouth to speak, but nothing came out. Not because I was scared, because I was stunned. She cleared her throat. I didn't know he had a girlfriend, not until last night." I stepped back. She walked in slowly, cautiously, like she was stepping into a stranger's life she just realized she helped destroy. Fig, my dog, sniffed her ankle, gave a low growl, then walked away. I felt the same. She sat down on the edge of my couch, still holding the bag. Her hands were shaking. I stood across the room, arms folded, trying not to explode. "I swear," she said, I met him at a gallery event. He told me he'd just gotten out of a long relationship, said he needed space. We've been seeing each other for about a month. I couldn't help it. I laughed. One dry, bitter sound. A month, I said. That's funny, because we were together a month ago. Living together, basically. She winced. I didn't know, until I saw your name pop up on his iPad. He left it open. You sent that message about the conference, and I asked him what it meant. I sat down slowly. And what did he say? That you were his ex. That you were clingy. That you didn't take the breakup well. I blinked. We never broke up. I know that now, she said. Her voice cracked a little. He lied to both of us. I stayed up all night thinking about it. I left the Airbnb this morning. I packed my stuff. He begged me to stay. Of course he did. I stared at the paper bag in her lap. What's that? She hesitated, then handed it to me. I found this under his pillow. I think you should read it. Inside was a thick folded notebook. Familiar, my handwriting. It was my old journal. One I'd thought I lost months ago when Travis said he, accidentally, donated a box of stuff I left in his trunk. I opened the first page and immediately recognized a line I wrote during a depressive episode last year. I feel invisible, even when someone's looking right at me. My hands trembled. Page after page, my deepest thoughts, fears, things I'd never said out loud, things I didn't even know he kept. I looked at Zara. I didn't read it, she said, but I saw your name on the inside cover. And there were notes. His handwriting I flipped to the back. Scribbles. Little annotations in the margins. Circles around lines like, I'm afraid I'm not enough. Next to one, useful when she's upset. Next to another, manipulate with reassurance here. I felt my stomach turn. He'd been using my own words against me, studying me, like I was a script he could learn to control. I stood up so fast the notebook fell. Zara flinched. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't know what else to do. I thought you deserved to know. I nodded. I couldn't even look at her. She left quietly. No drama. No apology could have fixed that anyway. I locked the door, sat down, and stared at the journal in my lap like it was a weapon I didn't realize I'd handed him. I wasn't just heartbroken. I was violated. He'd read my mind before I even understood it myself, then used it like a playbook. That night, I didn't sleep. I read every single page, every mark he'd made, every twisted little comment. And I made a decision. The next morning, I drove to his office. He wasn't there, but his assistant was. I asked her to give him something urgent. She looked nervous, but nodded. I handed her an envelope. Inside, a photocopy of one of the pages with his notes, and a sticky note that read, Since you love reading my thoughts so much, let's see what your boss thinks of them. I left before she could ask anything else. Hours later, Travis called me from an unknown number. I didn't answer, but he left a voicemail, and in it, he didn't sound angry. He sounded scared. The voicemail was 43 seconds long. I didn't listen to it right away. I stared at it, watched the timer blink like it was taunting me. Then I played it with the volume turned all the way down. I didn't want to hear his voice. I just wanted to see if he cracked. And he did. The transcription was all over the place, choppy, misspelled, but the emotion was clear. He was panicking. Something about privacy and, you don't understand what you've done, and, please just talk to me. Good. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than rage or nausea. I felt power. That night, I opened my laptop and started writing. Not to him, to myself. Everything I'd been too afraid to say out loud. Every time I'd shrunk myself down to keep him comfortable. Every time I'd laughed at his mean jokes just to avoid the silence that always followed. I wrote for 3 hours straight. Then, I slept like a stone. The next morning, I made coffee. Real coffee, not the instant kind I'd been living on. I walked Fig around the block like nothing had happened, like I hadn't dropped a bomb into Travis's career the day before. But the truth was, I didn't know if it worked. Maybe his boss would ignore it. Maybe they'd laugh it off. Maybe I just made things worse. I didn't care. Later that afternoon, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. I heard what happened. I'm sorry, you deserved better. Camilla! I froze. Camilla was Travis's ex, the one he never talked about. The crazy one he said stalked him after the breakup. The one he claimed was emotionally unstable. We'd never met, never spoken. I texted back cautiously, "How did you get my number?" She replied almost instantly, "Let's just say I still know people who know him, and one of them forwarded your journal page." I felt cold. Then she sent another message. "You're not the first." I wish I'd said something earlier. We talked for an hour. Turns out Travis had a pattern. Same charm, same slow control, same "you're too emotional" line when she started to question things. And apparently, same journal trick. Only she caught him reading hers out loud at a party once. She thought it was a mistake, until he mocked one of her lines to a group of friends, thinking it was funny. She left him the next day. I thanked her, then asked, "Do you think he's actually dangerous?" She took a minute to reply. "Not in the way that he'll hurt you physically, but emotionally? Absolutely. He doesn't see people as people. He sees them as tools. And when you stop being useful, he breaks you so you don't talk." I stared at that for a long time. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. No calls, no new numbers, no unexpected knocks. A false peace that made my skin crawl. Then, Friday afternoon, I was in line at the pharmacy when my phone buzzed again. A news alert. Not just any news. Industry gossip. Media consultant suspended pending review after internal complaint surfaces involving personal conduct. I clicked. It didn't name him outright, but the firm was his. The position matched. And the description? Let's just say, it sounded familiar. I didn't submit anything to HR. I didn't need to. Someone else had. Maybe the assistant. Maybe a coworker. Maybe karma, finally catching up. Either way, it was happening. That night, I got home, fed Fig, and lit a candle like I was blessing the space with freedom. I sat down to watch some trash TV and almost forgot about the journal entirely. Until I remembered something. There was a second notebook, a backup I'd used years ago, same size, same brand. The one I thought I'd thrown out. I dug through an old storage bin in my closet, half laughing at myself for chasing ghosts. But it was there. And inside, tucked between the pages, barely visible, was a small white envelope, my name on the front, in Travis's handwriting. I opened it. Inside were two things, a folded receipt and a photo. The receipt was for a storage unit, registered under my name, but I'd never signed for it. The photo? It was me, asleep on the couch, taken from inside my apartment. The photo burned into my brain, not because I looked terrible, though I did. Hair everywhere, mouth slightly open, curled on the couch in a hoodie and socks, but because of the angle. It was taken from inside my apartment, a perspective I never would have noticed unless I looked close. And the timestamp? A full month before I even knew Zara existed. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, heart pounding. Then I remembered something else. Travis used to make offhand comments about accidentally seeing my emails, or knowing when I'd ordered something before I told him. I thought he was just being perceptive. Now I knew better. The next morning, I took the receipt from the envelope and went straight to the storage unit listed. I showed my ID. They checked. Sure enough, my name was on the file, signed electronically, but the signature wasn't mine. The staff let me in. The unit was small, cold, smelled like dust and old paper. Inside, 2 boxes, one labeled Maddie Notes, the other just said Tools. I opened the first. My notebooks, my old sketch pads, printouts of our texts, screenshots of my old posts on private forums. I hadn't used that screen name in years. There were notations, dates, patterns, things like she gets quiet after mom calls or best to compliment after criticism. He had studied me, documented me, like I was a case file. I opened the second box with shaking hands. Inside were small electronics, wires, old phones, and one black USB. I didn't touch anything else. I closed both boxes, took photos of everything. Then I went straight to the police station. They took it seriously, more seriously than I expected. Forgery, possible stalking, invasion of privacy, maybe worse. I gave them everything: photos, files, the note, the photo of me sleeping. They opened a case. Later that week, I got a call. Not from Travis, from his lawyer. He wanted to resolve things peacefully. I said I wasn't interested in peace. That same day, the firm where he worked put out a formal statement. He had been terminated, pending an investigation. No detail was given, but it was enough. Friends stopped texting me to hear both sides. Even Zara, who I hadn't spoken to since she left, messaged to say, "I'm glad it's out. He can't gaslight anyone else now." The best part? Camilla sent me a voice note. "You did what the rest of us were too scared to finish. You ended it." I didn't feel heroic. I felt exhausted. But I also felt done. The journal? I burned it. In a metal tray on my balcony, with Fig curled up by my feet. I watched the pages curl, and I let go of all the parts of me I once gave away so easily. 2 weeks later, I got a letter from the department. They found hidden devices in his old apartment. Ones I had never seen. Ones that might have been used to monitor more than one person. They're building a case. I don't know what kind of justice will come. Maybe he'll be charged, maybe not. But at least now, he can't hide behind charm and half-truths anymore. And me, I'm learning to trust myself again. To stop apologizing for being cautious, for asking too many questions, for trusting my instincts, even when they make other people uncomfortable. I changed my locks, changed my number, changed the way I show up. For myself this time. Because the truth is, closure doesn't always come in one dramatic scene. Sometimes it's just quiet, a steady kind of peace. A silence where you know no one's watching you sleep anymore. And that's enough. If you've ever felt like your story didn't matter, or like no one would believe you, drop a 2 in the comments. I promise you're not alone. And if you're still here, thank you for listening. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. I'm finally starting a new chapter, and this time, it's mine.